Hey everybody, it's Alexia from amysticspath, back with another weekly energy video for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Now, I kind of want to just dive in and let you guys know what it is that I see for this week and what we need to do to kind of work with this energy for our best benefit. Now, when looking at the energy of this week and really feeling the energy that I'm feeling this week, I'm really feeling the energy of things almost like coming up from the past, and if they're not coming up from the past, there's something that's definitely there like in the present that needs to be dealt with. Now, this energy is coming down and feeling like almost like a match has been stricken, and it's igniting this fire within you. And for some of us, it is, well, the energy is working for all of us to push us through and to aggressively push us through, to be determined to really defeat the obstacles and the wounds that are in front of us. But a lot of us may take this energy and feel there's great potential to take this energy, and it might kind of construct in a way that is argumentative or fight or lashing out, especially if you're in a place where these things are bothering you deeply and you don't know how to deal with them, or you don't want to deal with them, so it's an avoidance thing. So it's continually perpetuating itself up every time, like every so often, or maybe, and it might even be a while. And again, for some of us, this may be something that is current, but nevertheless, I want you guys to be mindful of the fact that this energy can push you in a way to act out, lash out, be argumentative, and kind of just sit in almost like an agitated energy. So be mindful to use this energy for our benefit and not for our destruction. Now, how this energy is going to affect us in the physical, we have the Hermit and the Magician. And this is literally saying that you're kind of going within and seeing what it is, what resources you have. And I'm not talking about physical resources. I'm talking about like the power within you and your mental state and your emotional state. It's almost like something that you switch on and off, like that is going to be able to help you get, to be able to manifest, not help you get through, but manifest you to the point where you are kind of out of, and it's not like a cycle, it's just some things that need to be like, again, dealt with. And it's not even that, maybe it's not like avoidance, it just hasn't brought itself up yet, and now it's time because there's other things that you've worked through. This can be the case for you as well. But nevertheless, it's this feeling of being pulled back and really reviewing what it is that we have to do mentally and emotionally, and not like it's the whole vision of where it is that you want to be, and really working on manifesting that, whatever that looks like for you. So some of us might be setting intentions, some of us might be doing release work, some of us might be setting intentions and doing release work, some of us might be talking about things. It's whatever the resources that you have in your vicinity of what it is that you do to work through things, how you work through things. But again, we want to make sure that we're doing it in a healthy way and not in a destructive way, especially since we're feeling the energy of kind of going back and within ourselves. And to kind of, this energy is kind of like when we're looking at the Hermit and the Magician, this is kind of the energy that we're feeling like we want to do this all on our own, or that we feel like we have to do this all on our own. And I don't like, I'm not saying that that's not like a bad thing, but you want to be careful to not be in the mind state of feeling like you have to do everything alone, just because it might be the type of mind state that you, that you're in. Not that it's like a paranoid mind state, but maybe very, very private, maybe very self-dependent. But nevertheless, it's, what your resources is to kind of get you through this point. I just want you to be mindful again, because we're feeling this energy to go within. And there is such a high potential energy for self-destruction here. Now, how this energy is going to affect us mentally, we have the Nine of Swords and the Chariot. And this is why I'm saying that there's such a big potential for self-destruction, because there's such a big potential for being fed up with not being where it is that you want to be. And this is not anything to do with where you want to be in the physical or where you want to be, none of that. It's all about where you want to be within yourself, mentally and emotionally. And we've been feeling this great pull to kind of come into ourselves wholly. But now it is time to, we're at a time where we have to like review these things that are holding us back again, to be able to be able to push forward and to move forward like we want to. But since we're feeling the fact that we just want to be done, there is a very thin line of avoidance and like pushing through. You don't want to get your hairs crossed and feel like you're pushing through because you were just getting up and staying busy and doing things and deciding that you're not going to like put your mind into what is bothering you. That is not how you do this. That is not how you move through. That's not how you break through any emotional cycles or begin to let go of anything that you've been hanging on to. That is how you step into that argumentative and lashing out and self-destruction state, because you are holding these things in and they're going to come out whether you like it or not. And whether that you feel like you're in control or not, you are not always 100% in control, especially when you're dealing with such feelings of anger and sadness, and when they get mixed together they can really turn into rage. It's like a literal formula for rage. So we want to make sure that we're not falling into that, and we are mentally feeling like we want to move forward and we want to push through, but I'm really feeling like the energy of how much you want to almost like, and it's not even, I almost feel like some of us might even be in a pit where this energy just makes us want to destroy things and be very destructive. So please, that's not the case for everybody. Like I said, it might come out in arguments, or maybe you are somebody that is really taking in this energy and taking it slow, because that is what I'm really feeling that we need to do, is take this energy slow and start examining things, because we don't want to start projecting or having issues where things aren't coming out properly, or we have to like have the energy of feeling like we're putting our foot in our mouth after the end of the conversation because we're just trying to coast, we're just trying to move through, we're just trying to get through, but there's things that we're not dealing with underneath. And again, our subconscious is so strong. So we really, again, I want to stress being very, very mindful of how much determination you're feeling to push through and to move through this current blockage that you have, because your initial reactions again might not be in healthy ways because of the way that this energy feels. Now, how this energy is going to affect us emotionally, we have the Two of Swords and the Three of Cups. And this is saying that this is a really big peak of feeling like stagnation, like no matter what you do, that you feel like you can't get to this happiness or this celebration that you want. You can't get to this place that you want to be, to where you feel like you can celebrate and be happy and be fulfilled, that there's literally something that is blocking you from that. And that something that is blocking you from that is that energy of the sadness and the things that you just wish that you almost like, that you wish that you have already, like, not that you had already dealt with, but it wasn't something there to be dealt with. It's like something so simple as to like just let it go, and it's not always that simple, and that's where that stagnation is kind of happening for you. Okay, so when we get into the goal spot of this spread, we have the Emperor and the King of Swords. And this is saying to stand very strong in your pursuits. When you have the Emperor and the King of Swords, they're both very, very strong, like very, very like masculine, strong stature energy. That one, the Emperor is dedicated on what it is that he's going to do, and it's going to get done correctly. And the King of Swords is literally researching and developing a foolproof plan that makes sense, that is bound to work to be able to get him to his goal. So apparently, like, these two energies are talking about being very, very firm and not wavering, and knowing that you're going to do whatever it needs to take, like whatever it is, no matter the cost. And I'm also like really, and this is going to lead you to a point of rebirth. Is this structure and this strength, this stability that is driving you to be able to get through this peak of these last couple, like it's not like, maybe it's not like these last couple things, but these very important pieces that have really just been put on the back burner to let them go. And I really want to emphasize, it's not like the healing work that you've done this far is not sufficient. It's just something that really, some things that just hasn't been gotten to. And it's really standing in the structure of your rebirth and the strength in that and how much it means to you to get to that point, and having a plan that you can keep falling back on, you can keep going, and you can keep reviewing, and you can even keep adjusting into what needs to make sense for the next step. But you are being very mentally open and mentally clear, and you're almost in this energy of no matter what it takes, I'm going to get through this. And it's not an energy of getting through or getting past. It's like wholly getting through, like getting over the obstacle to where it never has to come up again. So this is where we have a foolproof plan, and we are holding ourselves accountable. These two energy parts, and I don't want to say male, even though they are encompassing the masculine energy, because they are representing all of us. We all have masculine and feminine energy, and this is not, a male or female thing. But I do want to say, like, the Emperor and the King of Swords, again, they don't have goals for the short term. Their goals are always for the long term. Or what is going to get them to where, like, even if they have like a secondary goal, there's a masterline goal at the end, and they do not forget that, and they show up every day working towards that, and within structure, and going over their list and going over what it is that their plan is to get them through. So I feel like a lot of us, maybe we have to have a plan of what we're doing. Like, are we giving ourselves a certain amount of time to reflect before we start our day, before we interact with people? Are we reviewing these emotions and sitting with ourselves for a half hour to see how we feel, and then we do another half hour to meditate and clear our head so we're ready to go out into the world and work with other people and be around other people? Or is it something that you really just have to retreat and close yourself off and just be isolated for a while and kind of go through things and deal with them? But whatever, you have to come up with a plan that works for you and that is going to be the most conclusive for you, that you're going to be able to follow, that is going to be logical in the steps of completing set plan and set goal. Okay, now the cards that we got for our conclusion spot is the Eight of Swords and the Four of Swords. And this is saying that, again, we have to go within and see these, our thoughts and our mental state and our fears and our sadness, what's coming up, the things that we need to deal with that are, in our face. These issues are literally what it is that we have to go within a, meditative state, secluded state, whatever the case may be for you, and review them, and review why you're having these feelings, review why you're having these issues, reviewing why you're having this, this trauma come up, review why you're having this uncertainty, review whatever it is that is causing you frustration and sadness within your mental and emotional body. Or bodies, and sit with that and see what comes through on the other end, what kind of clarity you get. And again, I always say, when we go into this place, we're going in this place to seek to understand, not to judge, or not even like, it's analyzing but not analyzing. It's analyzing for clarity, not analyzing for judgment. And that's where a lot of us get mixed up, because we don't like our feelings, or we're afraid of our feelings, or we're guilty for our feelings, or whatever the case may be. And we have to go in, and yes, those still may be factors. But the fact of the matter is, you still have to review them and see what they are in honesty and authenticity, no matter what your judgment may be placed upon that, upon your feelings, upon this issue, upon this pain, whatever it is that you're going through, that you have to look at them in authenticity of what they are, and separate yourself from your emotions. And for a second, you have to be able to look at yourself and listen, because if you can't look at yourself and listen, you're not going to be able to do the work that needs to be done. Okay? Now, I pulled a supporting message as well, and the cards that I got for that is the water element, the earth, Oshala, Abatala, and the Two of Earth. And this is really about what it is to be able to break through and move through from this point. So we're taking our emotions, and it's kind of, like I'm kind of seeing this as an extension of the message that I've already shared with you guys, but it's just more clarification that we have the water element, which is our emotions, that is backed by the world. So there's some emotions and some things that we are holding in our emotional body that needs to be wrapped up, that needs to be let go of. And maybe it's not even like letting go, like to the point where you're like healing through this every single day. I feel like a lot of us on some things may need closure, or to give yourself closure in some way. There's something that needs to be gained from you looking and reviewing these things that are making you uncertain, even if this doesn't even have anything to do with anybody else, or the pain that anybody else has caused you, or anything like this. This is wrapping up. This is getting closure for yourself. But it's not getting closure for yourself. Like maybe for some of it, it's confronting people or confronting things and confronting situations, but a lot of it is confronting ourselves and giving yourself the closure of whatever that is, and wrapping things up in an honest, authentic way, and what that means for you. So you can be able to move forward, and you can be able to move forward with purity, with pure intent, and not even just like pure intent, but purity in its truest form. That it's almost like this is like that rebirth that I was talking about when I was speaking of the Emperor and the King of Swords. That being that plan of you getting to that point of rebirth. And this is you like executing that plan, and that the universe is with you at this point of really working through and pushing through it, and to be able to find balance. And I'm feeling like maybe, and it's not even the fact that things like we have to get to the point where we must understand that things that have happened, we can't erase them, we can't forget about them, we can't make them go away, although we would very, very deeply like to. We have to wrap things up and not let them affect us on a deep subconscious level. And most people are like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that affect me on a deep subconscious level. But if you're just but then they're like, okay, so I'm just not going to deal with it, because I'm not going to let it affect me, I'm better than that, I'm not going to deal with it. But when you're doing that, you're just pushing it down and you're just shoving it down. It's not the point of making things better or making it seem like it never happened, or like falling into this reality of where you can place your brain into where it never happened, because that is avoidance, and that is not what we're trying to do. And even if it's not something that is necessarily dropped or thrown in the trash can, we can't always separate from things, but we can heal to the point where it doesn't consume us. We don't let certain things bother us anymore. Certain things aren't triggered, and we understand, we know what those things look like. We know what these red flags look like. We don't have to go through the same situations again. So it's not, I don't want you to think that healing is just being like, okay, I'm done and I'm just going to throw this away and it's not going to affect me anymore. And that's not the case. And we have to understand that you have to come to a point where you have to reach in, it's almost in strength. And that's why we're feeling this very aggressive energy where we could lash out, that you have to come to a point in strength and be able to wrap things up and get the closure that you need in the way that you need. That's why you have to go in. That's why you have to review. That's why you need a plan. Okay. Now, I hope that this message is very helpful for everyone. Now, if you need a reading specifically for yourself, please do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to work with you. Everybody have a great day.